I'm sure
Oh,
he's so
gosh.
used to it by now. That's so funny. He's like, "Oh, another day."
Yeah, another day, another screen. I love it. Yeah, I'm a 2025 baby.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. This is, hey, these are faces. This is not like he's watching like something really overstimulating,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh
like
my
my
God.
children are right now somewhere. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, where are they all?
Well, I'm hiding in one of their rooms right now. Two are asleep and two are watching shows in
Nice.
separate rooms with my husband who's downstairs.
Oh my
Because
gosh,
we
I know.
just, we can't watch, we couldn't watch the same thing. That would be outrageous.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
we literally have the same conversation all the time. Well, because the littler one will like, she wants to watch whatever the older one wa is watching, but then she'll have nightmares. And like, we
Oh,
cannot do
that's
Elena of Avalor. No, we cannot. It's just
funny.
something about it is too scary.
Off the list. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, well, so I guess I would be so curious to hear like you kind of tell the story of Lottie's diagnosis, like both of her diagnoses, actually. I mean, I know I've read them, but then for people who
Right.
are just getting to hear your story, kind of like the the path to finding out her diagnoses. But before that, I always like to start with like just describing Lottie as a person and just like who her personality, things that you love about her, like just who is Lottie, and then you can get into the diagnoses.
Oh, I like that question. Yeah, no, she's so amazing. She really is just I always tell people she is the sweetest soul. She would never try to hurt anybody intentionally. That doesn't even remotely cross her mind. Like she is just kind and funny and sweet. She loves to dance. She loves music, obsessed with Miss Rachel. We can't get off of it. In fact, it's like the only thing she'll watch. So we have like all the episodes memorized. Bless her. Oh, she's just funny and she has never been verbal.
Mhm.
Not well. I mean, at one point she had more word approximations and but her personality just always like shines through. I think my husband and I always laugh because people love Lottie and
Yeah.
just because she's always herself. She doesn't put on anything. She doesn't even know that like that's a thing to pretend to be anything that she's not.
Yeah.
She's just yeah, authentically herself and she's the best and we would do anything for him.
Oh, yeah. She's just so cute. All of your like videos and pictures of her. I'm like, oh, this girl's adorable.
I know, she's
Um,
hilarious.
yeah. Okay, so if she's turning 5, so then she was born in 2020.
She was
Yeah.
born in
Oh my gosh. So
2020.
in October of 2020. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So yeah. Well, okay. All right. So tell
Yeah.
hear it all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I look back, it's really like our parenting journey has never been typical. I mean, at all. And that's I think it has just been a gradual buildup for us, and that's maybe why, like, sometimes we can handle all that is going on. Because it started so crazy. We found out prenatally my pregnancy was pretty normal with Lottie. We found out prenatally that she would have Down syndrome, and at this time, we talked with, so we got, what was it? Our 20-week ultrasound is when we first saw something. I did not do the blood work prior to that. We saw some soft markers for Down syndrome, and then I took the blood test after that, and it was positive. And we went to a genetic counselor, and we just you go. And I don't know if you guys had to do this with Gilby or not. We had to like go through our whole family history and talk about everything. On both sides of the family. And I did oddly at this time bring up my cousin who had MPS3 or Sanfilippo syndrome. And the counselor was kind of interested. And then when we went to go talk to the doctor, he was like it wanted us to get tested and all of these things. And he was not my favorite person. He had very poor bedside manner. And he like wanted us to get tested for MPS, and then I just asked him if he thought that our baby had MPS or Down syndrome, and he said, "Well, I think your baby has Down syndrome." And I said, "Okay, then like we can talk about this later." And it never got brought up again. And prior to this, the reason I already didn't like this doctor was because at the ultrasound, um, you know, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. When we got our 20-week ultrasound, we went in for an extra one. They couldn't get certain pictures the first time we went in, so we went back and we went to maternal fetal medicine because they're a little more specialized, and we were just trying to get a picture of the profile of the baby. They did another ultrasound. We're looking at the baby, and at first the technician is like super upbeat, really happy, talking to us the whole time, and then all of a sudden she just like stopped talking, and it was dead silent, and it was so uncomfortable. And prior to my pregnancy with Lottie, I had had a miscarriage, and so I knew what this was like. I knew like something was not right, because or something was wrong was the impression they were giving me. So my husband and I were nervous, and she left the room. She got a new technician. They both are sitting there kind of talking quietly. And then they left the room and brought the doctor in, which we knew was not a typical situation. You don't typically bring the doctor into the ultrasound. And when he was looking at things, we could tell something was going on. And finally, he turned and he said, "Have you ever heard of trisomy 21?" And he goes, "It's also known as Down syndrome." I was like, "Well, of course." Um, and so, he was talking to us and telling us, things about Down syndrome and all of these things. And he kept just going on and on. And he was like, "Well, we need to do an amnio today. You need to have an amniocentesis today. Like, this has to happen." And I was like, "Can we like have a minute to just talk about this? Can my husband and I discuss this?" And he's like, "No, you really don't have time. Like, you got to leave this room and go have this done right now." And I was like, "Okay, well," and it took me a second, and I finally realized he was getting what he was getting at. And I just said, "Under no circumstances will we be terminating this pregnancy." And he goes, "Oh, well, then you can just have the blood work done." And I was like, "Okay, great." It was very, so this is why, when we went back to this doctor later and he talked about MPS and he talked about Down syndrome, I probably was not as apt to listen to him. But also, he never said that it was possible to have both. So isn't that crazy?
Yes, yes, it is crazy. Well, and I'm really glad you bring that up about kind of the bedside manner issue, because I think it's a really important, like, kind of not talked about thing, that like the relationship between like
Yeah.
parents and their pediatricians and geneticists
Yeah.
and doctors that you work with, and how that impacts your experience. Like you said, like,
Right.
well, I,
It
didn't have
does.
the greatest experience with this doctor, so I didn't really want to like get too much into other things with him. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and just the way he brought it all up, he seemed more interested in, like, the medical scientific piece of it and not so much our experience, and I have sadly heard that about this doctor from several other people which it's so sad, and it shouldn't be that way. But yeah, sorry, that was a ramble. Feel free to edit and cut that as much
No, it's
as you.
perfect. It's lovely.
There's so Lottie is just a, oh my gosh, has always been just a mystery. So there's just so much.
She's like, I think a lot of people talk about like unicorns, like, right?
She
Like, so
is,
like, okay, you've got zebra, you've got like, and then people be
yes.
like, yeah, but you're unicorn. But she's like the next level. She's like a, what does my daughter say? Like a pegacorn, where it's like a
Oh, yeah, there's like
Pegasus
the llama
unicorn.
corn there, yes, all of the
She's an
kitty
alicorn.
corns.
She's like
Yes.
the
I know.
higher evolved form, that you have like the unicorn and the wings and the gold.
I know. It's crazy. It is. Yeah, it's all nuts. But yeah, Lottie. So yeah, anyway, I mean, I guess continue with
Yeah.
this or
So, okay. So he had brought NPS up, but then
yes,
you didn't, like you said, which is like the same question I had. I was like, I didn't know you could have both, right? Like, I
I
didn't know you could
I
have
didn't.
multiple syndromes at once.
Right.
So, okay. So Lottie's born,
Yes.
and then yeah. So like in the midst of COVID life, kind of.
Yeah.
And so then yeah, talk to me a little bit about like what, like, from then
Got
until
us.
kind of now.
Okay. And I should also say, when we talked about testing for MPS while I was pregnant,
Mm.
there is not currently, as far as I know, or wasn't then, a test for lysosomal storage disorders while you're already pregnant.
Yeah.
So I mean, what he brought up to us, and hindsight's 2020. He said, it might be good eventually if you get tested, and then if you are, oh, sorry, we're
We're
paused.
frozen, but I can still hear you.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, maybe it's best. I'm sure my face froze on a really good facial expression.
I'll I'll just like insert a picture of a pegacorn and then that will just be what we look at.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you. It never fails. It's one eye is open. Anyway, um, yeah, but no, he talked about us getting tested. So, oh, hey, me getting tested, and then if I were a carrier, then my husband would get tested. But again, once we got down to does she have Down syndrome or does she have MPS? And he said, well, your baby probably has Down syndrome. We
Yeah.
never brought it up again. No one brought it up after she was born. Nothing. Um, so after she was born, she was always a pretty like snotty, congested baby, and that's not out of the realm of possibility for a child with Down syndrome. A lot of kids with Down syndrome also have respiratory issues and are more susceptible to getting respiratory viruses, and she got all of them all the time.
Oh,
Um, like, RSV, all of the things. The We got COVID a bunch. Yeah, and it just, I mean, as far as we knew, Lottie was just like any other baby. I mean, we didn't know any different. She was our first. But she always did have some extra medical complications. We learned also while I was pregnant that she had a vascular ring on her heart that caused what is it called? So she had a right aortic arch that caused a vascular ring around her trachea and esophagus. Yeah, no one's ever heard of it. Bizarre.
yeah.
She had a laryngeal cleft, so a cleft in her voice box or her larynx. We had that repaired. I mean, these are all over like, the span of years.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I would say for the first like 2 years, Lottie really did seem like to be going on the typical trend, especially of a child with Down syndrome. She was a little late to crawling, but not out of the normal range for a child with Down syndrome. And then getting to her second birthday, she was like standing and starting to take steps. And again, that's late, but not horribly late for a child who has Down syndrome. Hypotonia and it just low muscle tone makes it harder for children with Down syndrome to build that muscle and walk at the same age as their peers. But then after she turned 2, it just felt like she was sick for like 6 months, just constant respiratory issues. She had pneumonia and was in the hospital twice, during that time. And then when she got out of the hospital the second time is when we really started to notice that she wasn't signing as much as she used to. I'd say by her second birthday, she knew like 60 or more signs in American Sign Language. She had like 40 plus word approximations. So that's just like the beginning sound of a word. And she would
Yeah.
pair it with the sign. She would say, like, she'd pat her head and say half for hat, or she'd sign dog and say daw.
Mhm.
Um, but she had really stopped doing that. So that was my first concern. And then I also noticed, a couple months passed after she had been sick, and she's like not remembering how to play with toys that we played with every day, especially. And I don't know, do you guys do therapy at home with Gilbert?
Mhm.
Like
Oh,
OT and yeah, and they kind of have a routine with them and they do the same things with them. And we she was just like not remembering how to play with these things, or she was forgetting how to play with toys. And we would ask people and we would ask doctors and therapists, and it was kind of like she needs to have this procedure done, and she's just behind because she was so sick, and every kid with Down syndrome is different. And we kind of, it was always in the back of my mind thinking like she does in some ways. She did remind me of my cousin Samantha, who had Sanfilippo syndrome.
mhm.
There, especially the regression.
Yeah.
But again, I somehow would always, like, put it back down and say, "But she has Down syndrome. She can't," this is me not knowing. She couldn't have both. That seems crazy. Um, so I think we kind of, we had a lot she had a lot of medical things done, and then last year we started school. She was
Mhm.
3, about to be 4, and I was hoping that that would be like, okay, she'll take off. She'll be around her same age peers. She was with the general ed population and in a special ed classroom for part of the day, and she's kind of getting the best of both worlds. She's got therapists and all this stuff. A great team. So I was like, this is the ideal situation. And like I said, I think her therapists and her teachers at school were very optimistic, and they loved her. I just knew that something she wasn't making progress, and I was starting to panic a little. So in December last year, I had my 4th baby, and, I think after that, I just started to kind of, like, get the wheels turning. I just wanted to figure out what was going on, because I knew it was something. And I don't know, like, what triggered it, but I we had actually been around a lot of our friends who have children with Down syndrome, and we'd been doing classes with them and seeing them, and the kids her age or around her age were just so far and above where Lottie was, and I knew that there was another diagnosis. So I don't know what made me look it up. I think I was looking into Sanfilippo syndrome already, and then I found Saving Liv, her page, which is her mom is Erin. She's super sweet, and they put out a lot of really informative videos. And I watched one about how about all of these symptoms of Sanfilippo syndrome that Liv had that I didn't know were symptoms of Sanfilippo syndrome, and Lottie had them all, like the GI issues, the bloated belly. She even again, especially considering she has Down syndrome, she had like a much larger head. And I kind of look back at her growth charts, and it did track with all of a sudden she went from having being in the smaller percentile for head size to all of a sudden being in like 90th percentile. And it never dawned on me. Um, yeah, it just and I think it just clicked, and I finally just Googled, and, thanks to AI, it gives you an answer, and I just Googled, "Can you have both Sanfilippo syndrome and Down syndrome?" And when it said yes, I just knew, and I wanted to throw up. But, um, I kind of told my husband my concerns at that point, and, he didn't think that. I think he's much more positive and less doom and gloom than I am, but he just said, "Just make an appointment with, genetics." And I did, and we got in pretty quick, and, I didn't tell her immediately what I was thinking. I gave her all of Lottie's symptoms, and I just wanted to see what her thoughts were first. And she came up with a really great plan. I mean, she had these ideas for tests to get done and all of these things, very thorough. But we've had them all done before: sleep study, swallow study, GI stuff. We've done it. And um, she said, okay, we'll do all these things and then we'll go down a rabbit hole. And I was like, well, let's just go down the rabbit hole now.
You're like,
And
I'm
I
already
brought,
in the rabbit hole.
oh, I mean, can you pull me out of the rabbit
Yeah.
hole? I'm
Oh my
deep in it. Yes. So I told her about my cousin, and she
God.
looked at Lottie and she said, "I see the features on her face." And I said, "Yeah, I do too."
Mhm.
So that day we had her urine tested. Um, and they said normally they wouldn't have, to be honest, which is kind of another concerning thing because if I had not known my family history, there is a good chance they would have said, "There's no reason to think she has that
Yeah.
yet." And
Yeah.
it could have been longer. So I think that's really just something for parents to consider. If you think something's going on, just, come out and say it and say, "We need to have this done." And I know that's really hard, and sometimes you get pushback, but yeah, we had the urine test that day. It came back positive a couple weeks later. And then after that, the diagnostic tests have to be done. So that's a blood test and a DNA test. And she tested positive with both of those as well. So we got the final diagnosis in May of this year, 2025. So yeah, it
Wow.
feels like 100 years ago, and like it just happened. Yeah, surreal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's really not that long ago.
Oh,
Um,
no.
so for, and I feel like I should know this because I like should be being on track of my research, but so so to have Sanfilippo, you have to
Mhm.
inherit both
Yeah.
genes from both sides. And
Yes.
so okay, so because you had a cousin, so you had your cousin, and so then that
Mhm.
was like what like made you think like,
Yes.
okay, I'm probably a carrier. But then for your husband, is it
Outrageous.
yeah,
It's really so I don't even know what the number is, but it's so rare that he would carry the same. We all carry mutations,
yeah.
but, like, the odds of us both carrying the same autosomal recessive gene is crazy, and it's yeah, and I am not an expert in at all. This is all new to me. I mean, I could talk to you a little bit about chromosomes, and thanks to the Down syndrome side of things,
Yeah.
but yeah, the gene stuff is wi it's wild to me, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's different because Down syndrome, every person has a 1 in 800 chance of having a child with Down syndrome, and only one parent needs to pass on the extra chromosome.
Yeah.
Um, it does not run in families, all of those things. There is, like we could get all into that. There's, like, one type that can be inherited, but it's only from one parent still. But it's very rare. And, yeah, this we both carry, the same gene mutation, so the fact that it happened at the same time is crazy.
Yeah, she is. She's like the most unique of unique. Is it like you have like a 25% chance or 50% chance or whatever with each kid, or like how does that?
Yes. Yeah, it is with each pregnancy, you have a 25% chance, a 1 in 4 chance of having a child born with Sanfilippo syndrome. So, we had them all tested. They are all carriers, but they are not affected, they say, by Sanfilippo syndrome because they only have 1 gene as opposed to 2 mutated genes. Yeah, that was another, awful couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We had to do the DNA test swabs on them. Waiting for those results was awful, but I mean, yeah, I've never been so relieved to hear the news that they did not have it. I mean, we wish so badly that we had heard that Lottie didn't have it, but I mean, yeah, I do look at that as a little miracle that all 3 of them were unaffected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when my cousin got diagnosed, I think it was kind of impressed upon at least us other grandchildren that, there's a chance we could be a carrier. I don't remember anybody really getting into, like, the numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
so to even just to have a cousin who had this condition, I didn't realize I had a 25% chance, and that's not even knowing if my mom was a carrier or not. Obviously, she must be. But yeah, I didn't realize the percentage was so high that I but yeah, I mean, again, hindsight's 2020. I have already talked to my siblings about, like and I'm the oldest, and, I do have a nephew, but, the rest of them are just starting to, like, get married, and I told them, "Just so you know, like, for peace of mind, I think you should get tested." I just to know, and then if, something comes up, just your spouses can get tested and just yeah, just to be aware. You don't I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Another layer to the already like
Yeah.
millions of layers of things that you're like trying to process with this.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know, sorry. He, like, looked right at me, I
I
swear.
know.
But yeah, it does, that added you're right, that added layer of just and I feel responsible because we're close to the situation and you probably feel that way too. You're experiencing it. And so you feel like you also want to protect your other loved ones and just make sure that they're aware. And I also tried to impress the idea that even if you're a carrier, your spouse is not, you can still pass it on. So just to keep it in mind for the future, and I can't talk. We did not do genetic testing. I'm not against it. I'm not against anybody doing it. We just did not. That was a choice we made
Yeah.
with our children and looking thank I mean, for us specifically, I'm glad we did not. We would not have our other 3 children if we had. I mean, if we had tested immediately, even just after Lottie was born, if we had thought like, "Oh, maybe we should look into this," we might not have our other 3 children. I mean, yeah, but it's loaded with all kinds of feelings because 'cause you're like, yeah, I who knows? We're very fortunate for sure, but yeah, then you just feel we weren't trying to be, irresponsible. It just yeah, it's
Yeah.
loaded with lots of feelings, and I feel like on Instagram, people toss out, "You should have done genetic testing. You should have done this." And, uh, I think that crosses my mind, but the truth is they don't test for everything, and they don't, and they can't find everything, and there are not tests for everything yet, and so, again, I think if everybody could just keep in mind, like, we all carry something, we don't know what we carry, and, eh, just be understanding and kind and know that, if it were your child, if it were your family, you would want some understanding and not somebody telling you, "Well, you should have done this."
Oh,
Because ultimately, it would have made no difference. Lottie would be here either way.
exactly. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing too with him. Like, even if we had done genetic testing, like I
Right,
was already pregnant. Like,
right.
I
Well,
guess
right.
we have a little bit more of a heads up, but I don't think they would have even known what to test for with him because
No. You're
they
right, they
didn't
would
like birth
no.
syndrome. You can get amniocentesis and
Mhm.
get know that there's birth syndrome, but you would have to
Okay.
know already ahead of time that
Right.
you were a carrier for it or that you had a child who already had birth syndrome. So it's like
Okay.
there's so
Yeah.
much complexity. And I like your point of it's just like people need to think about what they say to others when it's like you haven't lived that experience yet. So just,
Right. Just yep.
yeah,
Mhm. You don't
just
have a horse in the race. No need for
exactly.
any
If you
comments.
can't say anything nice, don't say it at all.
But
Oh
it's
my
true.
God.
I
So
mean, it's
true.
cheesy but true.
Yes. So May, you guys got your final diagnosis, and then
Mhm.
like when did you start getting involved or connecting with families from Sanfilippo? I mean, I know you mentioned saving Liv and her
Yes,
family. So you guys kind of
yes.
connected through Instagram, I'm assuming through social
We
media.
did. Yeah, and she actually because at first the first couple months, I didn't say like, and I usually, like, post a little bit on Instagram, and I very small following, but, like and we've done some stuff for Down syndrome in the past, but I just was not ready to put that out there right away, and when at first we're, like, devastated, and then I think a couple weeks into having her diagnosis, we learned about Ultragenyx fast tracking the potential, treatment, UX111, and we were kind of, like, holding out hope, like, "Okay, maybe, like, this is, like, we can wait for this," and I think I wanted to wait to say anything online until I felt like I could be more positive, which sounds ridiculous, but, when you're like, "Oh," it just sounds it felt easier to be like, "She's been diagnosed with this, it's awful, we're devastated, but there's a treatment, like, we're gonna start it, thank you for that," and then we were supposed to wait until August. I think August, like, 18th, 19th was, like, the date they were going to come out, and the FDA was going to say whether or not they were going to approve it, and then in July, I saw a family I had started following. It was probably, I think, Saving Sadie Ray, another great Sanfilippo family to follow. I think they had put out, the press release from Ultragenyx stating that the FDA had delayed the, approval of UX111 due to manufacturing issues, and so reading their letter, I and I'm new to this whole, this whole world of trials and treatments and all this kind of stuff because for Down syndrome, you just treat the individual things that are going on because not every child with Down syndrome has these medical issues, all of that. So with Sanfilippo syndrome, it just was like, this is so new to me. So I'm reading their press release and I'm in my head thinking, this doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Like it's a manufacturing issue. They said they had no issues with the treatment itself and all of that. And so I, at first I like didn't know what to say. Like I didn't think that I didn't know if I should put anything out there on Instagram. And then I started seeing parents voice their upset about it, and that it was ridiculous because of the manufacturing issues being the holdup, and it's, easy fixes. And there should be no reason why there should be a delay of 6 to 12 months. And that point, I was like, okay, so I can say something about this. Then I'm not coming out of left field saying I don't think this sounds like it should be an issue. This should be fixed, and this should be able to get to patients immediately, because with Sanfilippo syndrome, you don't have time. So um, I made a video. It just about Lottie and her diagnosis, and a couple moms reached out. Erin reached out, Saving Lives mom, and then I think even prior to this, I had been talking with the Cure Sanfilippo Foundation, and then and just like getting kind of in the mix of, like, the email list, and talking to them a little bit, and then I talked to them on Zoom. Glenn and Kara O'Neill, they're lovely, the people who started the foundation, for their daughter who has Sanfilippo syndrome, Eliza. I talked to them in August, and I basically just that's when we signed Lottie up to be kind of like a partner family with them. And we've just been trying to put out as much information to our small community of people that we can. And I mean, people have really, I keep saying, like, I keep forgetting to send thank you cards to this person, or I keep forgetting to tell this person, thank you for donating. I mean, I can't keep up with how kind people have been and how much people have reached out. We also locally did like a news segment on our local news, and we did. Someone had written an Illinois Times article about Lottie for us. So we've had a lot of people in our community reach out and do things, and that has been wonderful. And the Cure Sanfilippo Foundation is incredible, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. If anybody out there has just money they want to donate, just lying around, they're wonderful. And I mean, this stuff is expensive. The trials and the research, I had no idea. And that has been eye opening. They have opened my eyes to that for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's been, uh, thank goodness for, as great or as awful sometimes as online presence can be, social media and stuff can be a lot. In this case, it has been great. And I mean, we wouldn't have connected had there not been Instagram. It has its pitfalls, but it definitely is helpful. And it's been nice to have that online community, because also, like, our babies are rare babies. You are not likely to run into somebody in your community and be like, oh, that child has Barth syndrome. Oh, that child has Sanfilippo syndrome. We have met a family in town who had a child with Sanfilippo syndrome. It has since passed. I mean, their family is lovely. Um, but yeah, I mean, it just to have the online presence is nice and helpful. And yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with that anymore. Mom brain just totally.
No, I totally agree. The online, like, I was very nervous and really like hesitant about doing anything
Right,
online because I really haven't been huge on social media. Um,
right.
and yeah, everyone's been very supportive and very kind.
Good,
And like you said,
good.
it's been nice to connect with other families because it's true. I think there are maybe a couple other families in Colorado that have kids with Barr syndrome, but
Mhm.
I don't know them. Like
Right,
there's
right,
there's no way for me to like meet them or contact them because it's like that's their own information and all I know is that there are a few others. Um,
right.
so yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it is interesting, like coming into this community at this period in time, here in 2025,
Right.
like with the technologies that we have now, with the
Yes.
treatments that are becoming available, and then with the online aspect. Because yeah, I mean, getting to know some of the families and people in the Barth syndrome community, I mean, like they started like 25 years ago. And it's like, I don't even know how anyone found each other before.
I
I mean, it
know.
was like 2000. Like, I guess we had, AOL accounts,
I
but
know.
maybe.
Right,
But yeah, I
right,
mean,
maybe.
I think
Yeah,
the rare disease community is really like, it's really powerful to see how so many things are able to come together through online connections, which
Yes.
is great.
Oh, yeah. And I think even just like the being able to reach out to your Congress members online instead of having to write them letters or to, and you can call, and I called, and I know you called for you guys, and it's like, but some people don't feel comfortable. But to be able to like email and to be able to like send a message or to sign something, a petition online, you don't have to go door to door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that a lot because of my cousin and because of what my uncle and my cousin's mom, Mary, who is wonderful and has been helping me so much with stuff with Lottie. But like she had to be like, I mean, knocking on people's doors to say, "Hey, can you research this? Can you help me?" Calling universities personally to say, can you look into this? Do you have any ideas? It just, and there, I think the MPS Society was a thing. And I think, people got together that way at like big conferences. But I mean, I don't know. It just, yeah, to just go there and only meet those people once a year and then not see them, because they didn't have really the internet access that we do. Yeah, I mean, it feels lonely now sometimes even, but then I think about, like, how lonely that had to have been to really not have people to connect with that fully understood what was going on. Even though they had all of us, they had a huge family, so much support. It like, that part is awful.
Yeah. Yes. It is. Yeah, I mean, it is very, I'm sure it was very isolating and hard because I mean, yeah, like we even think about that too now, or it's like with friends and family who are very supportive, but at the same
Yeah,
time you're like, well, you are supportive, but you don't totally like understand exactly what's going on, so
right.
it is hard.
Right,
It
and
is.
they can't it's to no fault of their own, like, everybody is as helpful as they possibly can be, and it's still, like, yeah, and we could tell all the stories and all the things that happen, and it's still, yeah, it's just not the same, but, yeah,
I know
it's
it's funny too hearing you say like being able to contact Congress people and stuff because I
yeah,
sometimes will like laugh with my husband like we did all of this stuff this summer, but like I literally
yeah,
did it from like right here on the
I
floor with
know,
my couch, like like
I
it's
know.
so weird. It's not like I traveled to
Right,
congressional offices and like went and talked to
right,
members and everything was like over Zoom. So I'm like, it's so
I know, and
strange.
yes, isn't it crazy? And we did have one in-person meeting, local Congresswoman Budzinski. She is wonderful. We didn't meet her. We met her director, who is lovely.
Mhm.
And they were great. And we met them in person. But yeah, other people have also, like, they've got a lot of things to do. They can't always meet you in person. I mean, I'm the type of person who's like, I am not maybe as experienced as these politicians are, but I don't care. I'll get it. I'll talk to you. Like, we can have
Yeah.
a meeting, but they're busy. They don't always want to have, or they can't. They can't always have meetings with, one-to-one meetings with their constituents, if you
Yeah.
will. So yeah, it's nice, I think, probably on their end also. At least they get the information, they got it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and it's like I would totally I would devote all my time to this if I could, but like, and as you know, you can't. You have other kids, I have other kids, and it's, yeah, the internet definitely, thank the Lord,
Yeah.
because I I'd be toting around 4 children, like, knocking on doors without it. I do it anyway, but not the knocking on doors
Yeah.
part.
But all.
It Yeah, it's, I know, and I had, like, done volunteer stuff for Down syndrome. I another plug, Jack's Basket, great organization for families who have a child with Down syndrome. Um, I was volunteering for them. They have, like, global outreach. They're wonderful too.
Mhm.
I had been volunteering for them, but it really is like a different feel because this was more like advocating for positivity and like a more positive diagnosis for families who have a child with Down syndrome and better bedside manner, more,
Yeah.
looking, just like helping families feel excited even if this was unexpected news.
Mhm.
And then to go and again, the Cure Sanfilippo Foundation, they are wonderful. Um, but it is kind of it's a different feel because you're trying to save these children's lives. It's
Yeah.
that part is just like has expanded my mind in ways that I truly had I just had never imagined. Yeah, it's and I will continue to do it, and it's, I'm trying to at least reach my little corner of the world and just do what I can. But yeah, it's definitely it's different when you know your child depends on this to survive, and I can't even imagine, like, being in your shoes and that, starting, like, immediately with all of that. That is yeah, overwhelming. I'm sure that was unbelievably scary when he was so little. I just
Oh, yeah, but I mean, they're similar shoes. I mean, we're
yeah,
talking like, we're
I
both
know.
wearing sneakers.
Yeah.
It's not like these are high heels and you're wearing loafers, like it's the same shoes.
That's
But
true. I
yeah,
know. It's always yeah, everybody's story is similar but different. Sorry.
yeah.
It is a madhouse over here. My dogs are put away because we have a
I can
plumber. The
hear them.
plumber is oh my gosh, they're barking. The plumber might be done now. He was jackhammering in the basement. My kids were starting to like get wild. I'm like,
I'm I'm busy. I'm
I
on
was
a podcast. Yeah. No, it is a very different type of advocacy. And it's interesting, like I think people would say to me sometimes, I don't feel like our work is finished because it's not. For him, like we have a little bit of a
yeah,
reprieve, but you know, we still need stealth to stay in business. They still have additional clinical trials to do. And to your point of like how expensive this stuff is, it's
oh,
insane. Like, I
it's
don't know why we can't just allocate some of like Taylor Swift's record sales
I
to rare
mean,
disease groups because
she surely can't use all of that.
I know you cannot spend that kind of money in your lifetime with one
I
person.
know.
So, like, just if you want to fund something and you're wealthy, like invest in rare disease groups because this
Yes.
stuff is not cheap. Um,
It's not.
yeah.
And rare diseases, like, on their own, right? It's so rare to find somebody with Sanfilippo syndrome, so rare to find somebody with Barr syndrome, but there are so many people out there, children and adults living with rare diseases.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think we could all have something just sitting dormant and we don't know. And, like, in our genes, whether that's passing it on or later in life it comes out. And, due to illness or old age. And I just think if everybody just sat and thought, like, wow, okay, if this were my child, if this were me, like, you know,
It's really, you probably have such a unique perspective with like having two syndromes and having those two
right.
experiences with different groups and seeing that like
Yes.
you're right, like the vibe and the mission and kind of how things were run within the Down syndrome community versus Sanfilippo community is going to be different because of the trajectory of the
Yes.
disease, and
Yeah.
the syndrome. I mean, yeah, I'm like, it's hard because I'm like, well, some things are like rare disease, but some things
I
I'm like, is it a disease? I don't know.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would call Sanfilippo syndrome a disease 100% because, the toxin builds up in your body, and
Yeah.
I know that you've already had, Saving Sadie Ray on here, and that they talked more about the heparan sulfate building up. Yeah, it is very different, and I think people are I don't know. Down syndrome is different because Down syndrome is, you're born with this extra chromosome. It affects how quickly you develop. And yes, it does sometimes put you at higher risk for certain medical conditions, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhealthy. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're going to be unhealthy or that you're going to get sick. And people with Down syndrome develop at, like, a typical curve. They continue to develop and learn for their whole life, and life expectancy is 60 years of age, whereas a child with Sanfilippo is 10 to 20 years. And that's after, like, a painful decline with seizures and mobility issues and not being able to eat on your own or walk on your own anymore. I mean, it's like totally two separate things. Yeah, so it really has been I mean, yeah, it's been very strange definitely, to go from kind of one uh, group to another, and but also to still be in that group with the
Mhm.
like Down syndrome community. But I think now my focus is more on the Sanfilippo side of things. Yeah, very, very strange perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so why, when you found out about Cover has like Duplos in a cup.
Oh, I
That
love it.
so loud.
Oh, I can't hear it at all.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so I can't hear the dog, so you can't hear the Duplos. It's good.
That's good.
So when you first learned about Ultragenics and the UX111,
Mm,
were you like, I mean, because it was already going up for FDA approval, there wasn't really an
mhm.
opportunity for Lottie to be on it or
Right.
to, I mean, yeah, were there any discussions with your doctors about like other clinical trial options or anything?
Yes, and we did look into 2 of them, I think. We are now seeing a different genetics, doctor, um, just in more specialized in St. Louis, but here in town, they sent, like, a referral over to 2 different trials, I think, but we already knew that she most likely wouldn't qualify. I had looked it up, and I had already assumed anyway because she also has Down syndrome, since it's like comorbidity or co-occurrence when somebody has 2 conditions like that, can disqualify her. And I'm sure, different health conditions that she has, stuff with her heart, stuff, hypothyroidism. I'm sure that would also just be like another, like, probably not.
Mhm.
Um, that's why UX 111 becoming available and being passed by the FDA is so important because Lottie will most likely not qualify for a clinical trial. We are going to look into another one, I think, just to see, but odds are we know she probably won't qualify. But if this is passed by the FDA, she will be able to get it through her doctor. We've already asked. She said it shouldn't be a problem. That down her having Down syndrome shouldn't affect anything. Um, yeah. So that's, I think, my main drive is that we really might not have any other options. We applied for early access through Ultragenics, and with our doctor's help. And we recently heard, I think a couple weeks ago, that they are not allowing anybody early access right now, or compassionate access, however they say it. I mean, so that makes me hopeful that maybe they feel like it's going to be passed once they resubmit for review. Um, yeah, but we'll see. It's
Um,
all crazy.
it is, and
It,
it's there, the time to me, the like thing that I just don't understand, like how this is even ethical, is like the time that is
right,
wasted with
right,
trying to rectify whatever these manufacturing things are or whatever is going on. Like if the clinical data shows that it is effective or there are
right,
safety concerns or there's a serious unmet need within the community and
right.
you're dealing with a very life-threatening
Yeah.
illness.
And if these families are, and including ours, are willing to take the risk,
Yeah.
which really, I mean, there isn't much. The only adverse effect was increased liver enzymes, and those all went away.
Mhm.
Lottie has had that happen to her when she's been sick in the hospital before, and they
Mhm.
went back down. Yeah, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And even just with Lottie will be 5 this month. And I mean, I feel like she's lost so much.
Yeah.
um, she's still her. You can see her personality. She's funny. It's there. But the skills are missing, and even just this past summer since finding out her diagnosis, I have seen little things start to disappear, and it like breaks my heart. She doesn't really sign dad anymore. She'll still say like dad, but she does not, like she used to sign dad, and she doesn't do that. My dad, we were calling him Nano, like
Mhm.
the Italian grandpa name,
Yeah.
and I think she must have thought we were saying nose nose, because then she would just, that was my dad, like, she would sign nose nose for him, so he was nose nose. She doesn't sign that anymore. Just, like, things like that that just, like, break your heart, that shouldn't happen when you're 4 years old. You shouldn't lose skills like that. Yeah, and she's been falling a lot recently, which isn't out of her normal, but it just, like it's changed. There's something more, like, more uncoordinated about it,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just hard. It's like, look at all this time we've wasted, and I know other families are in a more dire situation where their children are sick or they're older, and I mean, they don't have any time, and it's and yeah, I it just is. I don't understand it. I don't think I'll ever understand how this system works or why it works the
Oh,
way it does. I'm
it
hoping
needs
that
to change.
it needs to
Honestly,
change.
like it has to. And to hear you say all of that, I just like would I just wish like we could have these conversations with reviewers and with,
Right,
Commissioner McCary and with
right,
Vinay Prasad. Like what I think there's something missing there that like we're not hearing you
right.
say that. I mean, how can you listen to a mom explain the skills that her child is losing and be like, yeah, we're not going to expedite this approval. I mean, that's
Mm.
like that's heart
And
it's heartbreaking. And how are they allowing this to continue happening? It should have been approved and it like it's stupid. And
right.
it's
It
rough.
is. Yeah, and after years and years of data, 9 years, right? That's crazy. That's a long time, and then you think of all these other things, and I am no expert, and I probably have no, you know, feet to stand on here, but all these other things that you see that get passed so quickly through the FDA with little to no clinical trials or, the data is still kind of being looked at, and I don't know, you think, well, it seems like the money drives some of the decisions, and these ultra rare diseases probably aren't huge money makers, and I don't know. That again, like I said, I might, be overstepping, but
No,
I
I think
just
you're
worry
right.
that priority is not in the right place.
No. Well, and my concern too is that like with the technology and the advances that we have, we're going to keep being able to diagnose and figure things out like this
Mhm.
faster. And so then you
And
are
we need that treatment or cure right there, like
yes,
ready to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're leaving people with that option. So then at some point it becomes unethical to be like, well, you should get genetic testing or you should be
Ri-
doing X, Y, or
Right.
Z when, okay,
Yes.
well, if I do, but there's nothing available for my child and we find
Right.
out we do need treatment, that's
Right.
wrong too. Yeah.
That's an amazing point because yeah, you always hear the after comments of, "Well, you should have gotten genetic testing." And I'm like, "But why? She'd still be here." Like I that is a personal maybe thing, but yeah, genetic testing wouldn't have done anything for us because there was no treatment when she was little. She still wouldn't have qualified for a clinical trial then either. So we've gotta, if we're going to keep going with the genetic testing getting better, you're so right. Then we better start putting our efforts towards having things ready for these genetic conditions because uh, you're leaving people at a loss. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And to your point of like families being willing to take on the risk, I mean, like for us, it was between like, okay, your child is in severe heart failure. Uh,
Yeah.
he will probably need a heart transplant if things don't improve. And he is reliant on 24/7, intravenous medication. So
Yes.
it's between that or trying this medication that's been proven, safe over and over again. Which one are you going to do? Like, we'll take that. We'll take the
Yeah.
almethylate.
I mean, it really does seem like, a no-brainer. Yeah, and again, when I saw that, the delay, I thought, "Oh, it's not safe." And then, like I said, as I kept reading it, I'm like, "It's safe, but you just need to fix something, like, within the main." Okay. Yeah, it just
So then
wild.
approve it and then be like, okay, we have to do the
Yes.
manufacturing stuff in this amount of time or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Give us
There's
a
got,
waiver, at
yeah.
least even give us an option to do, maybe, I don't know, insurance stuff is crazy too, but give people the option to, okay, insurance is only going to cover so much because, we don't have all the data. Fine, that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
give people an option. Yeah, you need an
Yes.
option.
Give people options because it's like, and I brought this up in other like with other people, but like this analog pace at which we are moving, like we don't live
Right.
in that reality anymore,
No.
especially like we were talking about with, online connections with the rare community. Like we live in
Yes.
a very fast-paced world,
Yes.
like waiting, oh, well, we need another 30, 60, 90 days for X, Y, or Z. Like,
I
why?
just don't buy it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
and maybe they don't have enough personnel, but
Mhm.
that also shouldn't like cost our children their lives because they don't have enough employees to be on the ground and looking at these things. I don't know. I don't know. It's all so it just makes no sense to me. So when I talk about it, I'm always like, this seems like an easy answer.
Yes.
Just
And
yes.
everyone I talk to is always like, why haven't they just approved it?
I
Nobody gets it. So everyone is
nobody gets
literally
it.
asking the same question and nobody
Yes.
gets it. And it's like there is a clear disconnect between patients, there's like the patients and then the biotechs and the FDA that interface, but it's like something has got to get better. And I'm not, like number one priority for me right now is like getting UX11 through the finish line so
Aw,
that y'all can get it. And then also like some of our other rare friends getting some funding finished so that they can,
yeah.
get therapies going. And
Yes.
and then it's like, and then we need to overhaul whatever is going on with the
Right.
FDA and make it better for rare communities because it's just nonsensical and needs to
It
be
is.
fixed.
I
Uh,
know.
yeah, it's not, none of it's right. It's not
I
right,
know.
Gilbert. Um,
That's right, buddy.
he's like, I know it. It's not.
Oh, but you're so oh my God, he's been so good. This
I
is and
told
I
you
ramble, and
he loves
you're
Zoom meetings.
s
Yeah, you do.
Oh,
I guess to just close out, I mean, where are your efforts right now? What it would be helpful? Like, what is, we've got the birthday fundraiser, of course.
yeah, yeah, we're trying to, just raise some more money for the Cure Sanfilippo Foundation this month in honor of my cousin and, of course, in Lottie's name also. I don't know. I feel like I've kind of hit a wall. It just I don't know. We're working on some things for Lottie specifically, just different medications and treatments and things that we're going to try to start up. And kind of looking into, seeing what we can do there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, I think, what our next move will be. Maybe some more outreach to politicians. I don't know. Well, we'll kind of figure it out as we go.
Yeah. Well, those politicians, they take a lot of work. I feel like we spent months and months going back and forth with some of them, but then they,
Right.
eventually, you get in their ear enough and they were like,
Right.
okay, okay, we're doing something about this. Um,
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep like sharing your story and reposting things and
I
tagging the
think I
media. I'm like,
love them.
come on, like Jenna Bush Hager, Today Show, like, what are we doing? I follow her because I tag her in everything because I'm like, come
Oh,
on, put me on, like, put my friends on the Today Show. Like, for
oh,
a while, it
you're
was like,
so
put me on it.
sweet.
But I'm like, no, no, we're
Yeah, well,
good.
yeah. But you guys have been doing, I mean, you've done an amazing job. You're so supportive, and I really appreciate you reaching out on Instagram and, Instagram friends are amazing for many reasons, but it's been so I mean, I feel like I know you. You're exactly how I thought you would be, which is delightful. You really are. You're so sweet. So I knew you'd be just you're so happy and upbeat and that yeah, comes through in all of the stuff that you put out there. And
Oh,
you and
well,
Gilbert are definitely changing the world, right, Gilbert?
he's like,
Buddy.
am I? Are you?
Oh, God, he's so cute. I feel like he just like stares right into your soul.
Yeah.
He is
Eye
he is so
contact.
yeah, you are so
I can say
sweet.
hi. Yeah.
You're so
Oh, well, I
sweet.
appreciate that. We're just trying because it's like you said, yes,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
meet people and it's just like how can we not want to advocate for everybody who's going through
Right.
things like this because it's awful. So we have to like work as a team. Gotta get
That's
gotta give everyone the things they need.
that's
Yeah.
right. I agree.
Well, all right. I'm sure your husband is like, please, please come back.
I'm sure it's fine.
But just
Everything's
nothing
fine.
a little bit of like Miss Rachel and some Lucky Charms can't fix.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Again, sorry I rambled. Edit whatever you want. Take it all out if you have to, and just like
No.
everybody a synopsis.
No, it's going to be great. There will be lots of My Little Pony imagery inserted throughout.
Perfect. I love it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
Oh,
All
well,
right. Well, I hope
thank
you
you
guys,
for
yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day. And
Yeah,
yeah,
you
we'll
too.
see you online.
Sounds good. Bye, guys. Bye, Madison. Bye, Gilbert. Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thank you.